So starting with today's session, let's start with the interesting discussion. I got few questions related to data, related to Power BI, why we are going back and learning few graphical insights, learning your schooling days related aspects. Now let's discuss some scenario today. Um, so how many of you are used to social media? Social media in this sense, how many of you watch the content creator videos? Maybe any Instagram, maybe your YouTube, or prior to that, I guess there was a TikTok also. So how many of you are used to this? Okay,
I
only
do.
one, two. Okay, cool. See, earlier it was TikTok. I'm not sure, but uh, I rarely used. I never had a TikTok account, but there were people who were used to TikTok. I guess it was a paid social media. No, paid means TikTok was paying the social media influencers, right? Now we also have YouTube, which is paying for your videos, depending on views from which country you are getting views. It depends on which location, which reason your YouTube channel, or that specific video is being viewed. Now it is also a paid media. When around 2020 in COVID, when this TikTok was banned, I have seen many people have moved out from TikTok to Instagram. Yes, even Instagram is somewhere similar. Somewhere it's almost similar like TikTok, but it is not a paid media. Not a paid media. I'm not sure, but in case of Instagram, we usually get some brandings, or if you do an advertisement, or if you do some promotion there, you will get paid. Now that is an external. It is not directly coming from Instagram, but Instagram is not paying any influencers. So somewhere you have to relate your role here. Now, what do you mean by data analyst? Why are we relating with these social media influencers? Is people who used to have that TikTok account, who used to get a good amount of money on monthly basis as they were influencers. When in 2020 suddenly government has banned it by because it's a Chinese um, application. It was tracking some Indian information. So that is why many people moved out from TikTok to Instagram. They were unable to move from TikTok to YouTube. Why? Because the content is small. Maybe YouTube has also started with YouTube shorts. I guess it's small short videos, but probably for short videos you are not getting paid that enough in case of YouTube. Whereas Instagram, it is purely not a paid social media. That means you are not getting paid. Yes, any external ads, any external promotions you do, you externally get paid, but not directly from Instagram. So here many people have seen a loss. People who have moved out from TikTok to Instagram, their short videos, there was a loss. They are in the same field, doing same videos, but this Instagram is not paying a single penny for them. This is purely a loss. Whereas people who were content creators, who were creating their vlogs, daily vlogs, who were kind of publishing their videos long. I mean, the videos are long in duration, not 1 or 2 minute videos, probably more than 5 minutes of videos people used to publish on YouTube, and you get good views, you are getting paid. This was prior to TikTok. YouTube was I mean, paying the influencers prior to TikTok. YouTube was also paying the influencers prior to Instagram. Now that is the difference here. See, the thing is, a person who is good in YouTube can also work as a, I mean, can also publish his videos on Instagram. Okay, but here he has to take some additional effort. Why? Because he's trying to publish a long video, maybe 5 minutes of video, but he has to publish a same video within few seconds for Instagram Reels. Now, whichever tool you are switching it out, even though you are in the same field, YouTube means even social media, Instagram means even a social media, you are influencer in both the cases. Now, even if you switch out from Instagram to some other, any other example, any social media example, you are all influencers there. The thing is, if you switch any of these roles, it is a kind of loss for them. People who are moving out from YouTube to Instagram also, it's a kind of loss because they have to focus on short videos, not a long videos. They have to make their content rich, rich in the sense, um, they have to make sure that there are views, there are good amount of views. Now, why am I taking this example? See, where I stay, I have seen two of the influencers. I stay in Hyderabad. Yes, I have seen two of the influencers here. Um, Known influencers. Maybe I'm not directly related to them, but somewhere they are known to me. They used to get good amount of money on monthly basis when this TikTok was there around 2020. Probably around 3 to 4 lakhs a month. Good amount. It is very good amount. More than our um, the IT people which they earn. More than that. Now, when TikTok got banned, they moved to Instagram. Not even a single penny they used to get. Okay, promotions, it took almost 1 year or 2 years to get a good amount of views on Instagram. Then somewhat some promotions came. Only for promotions, you will not get 3 to 4 lakhs, probably around 60, 70,000, which is also okay. But it took almost 3 or 4 years to get a good YouTube revenue also. Even in YouTube, they are not getting paid enough, maybe 30K or 40K per month. Somewhere after 4 years, they have reached a limit of 1 lakh. Somewhere after 4 years, they have reached a limit of 1 lakh, 1 to 1.2 lakhs. In case of TikTok, they used to get directly paid off 3 to 4 lakhs. Now, what is the relation between these three entities is, see, as a data analyst, I would always recommend to be good in data analyst aspects, not only in Power BI. I have seen people asking questions that why only Power BI accepted. For now, our primary thing is to learn Power BI. But if you also learn data analyst aspects, that means what a data analyst does, understand the data. This is common in any field. This is common in any BI tool. This is common in any data analyst perspective. Read and clean the data. Now, this is also common. People only directly work on the cleaned data, directly work on charts. No, that is not recommended. After this, know what DA does. That means formulas here. For a data analyst, formulas plays an important role. So if you know all these formulas, so you're almost half of your work is done. So if you take these 3 points, this is common in any tool, irrespective of Power BI. If you work in Tableau, if you work in MicroStrategy, even if you work in SSRS, no, work in SSRS means I'm not sure how many of you are working, but it's an outdated tool. Still, it is a reporting tool. If you work in ClickView, if you work in Google Looker, there are many other tools. If you work in any of these tools, these 3 points are common. So as a data analyst, I would always recommend to learn data analyst role, not only Power BI things. Yes, accepted, we would be teaching all Power BI insights. Probably you would be great or good in market for 10 years. I'm saying it will stay, the Power BI will stay for 10 years, which will be a market leader. But after 10 years, there would be some or other tool, or probably even Microsoft will introduce a different tool. They'll come up with the upgraded version of Power BI. There you have to make sure you are upgrading yourself to the updated Power BI. What you learn today would not remain same as it is after 10 years. So the concepts of data analyst, this will remain same. So recommendation is always be market ready rather than only learning one specific tool. You should always learn which are good in market, which are trending in market. Now, someone also had a question yesterday that why only ADF? So it is more compatible with Power BI. More compatible, why? It's a product of Microsoft. Even Power BI is working with Informatica. I've started my career as a Informatica role only, where I used to work the ETL related role and I used to clean data and get it in the Power BI. But after Informatica, from 2019, the use of EDF was so rapid. Why? Because it's a part and parcel of Microsoft Azure cloud. It is more compatible with Power BI. whatever or wherever you store in ADF. Now that means if you use an ADF and you're storing your cleaned data, it is very easier to connect to Power BI rather than the Informatica data. Why? Because it's a third party tool. It is not nowhere related to Microsoft. Still you can connect, but it is very difficult. Maybe you have to store it in Azure cloud. Maybe you have to store it in somewhere SQL server, which is directly related to Microsoft. So the reason is, if you are industry ready, irrespective of whatever tool you're using, you should be known to these concepts. You should be compatible. I mean, maybe you should be comfortable to learn any other new learning apart from that tool. So it will help us to gain a good job. Yes. And the more you learn, the more you are learning the aspects of a specific role rather than a specific tool, you would be more industry ready and your job would be also secured. So somewhere I'm connecting this to our data analyst course only. Accepted, maybe for 10 years, Power BI will remain the leader. But apart from Power BI, there are some other tools which are there is a relation between that. Maybe Azure Cloud, yes, SQL. People tend to learn only Power BI, they only know basics of SQL. No, that is not recommended. You should be good in SQL. Why? Because data analyst requires SQL, right? So I'll not take much of time. Uh, you have any questions? You have any questions on this? Okay, cool. So it seems no one has a question. So let us head over to the yesterday's discussion. We kind of seen few charts, few insights related to the sample superstore which we have loaded. Now today we will see the usability of charts. We have seen a bar chart, we have seen a column chart. Why only column chart and what all conditions are compatible, that we are going to see today. Now, um, if I interpret, I have as a requirement, I want to interpret the same data in terms of Excel. Now, I just wanted to give you an idea. Let me open the data set which we have. Sample superstore. Yeah, this is the data set. Now, what I want to do is I want to interpret the same data in Excel, the same charts. I want to prepare it in Excel. Now, how do we do that? What we generally do, we go to a data tab. How do we do this? Any Excel experts here? I want to interpret the same information.
Or we can use insert charts, insert
Okay,
chart.
we can use insert chart, but prior to
Mhm.
that, somewhere I wanted to get aggregated information.
Then pivot table.
Yep, pivot table. Now, how do we do that pivot table?
Insert, go to insert and then the first option, pivot table. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. We
let
can do
me.
okay. Pivot table from table range. Then okay. Yeah. We can
We
aggregate
have to
here.
make sure rows and values. So the
Right.
thing is, I want segment in rows and I want sales. I can take sales here in the values. Somewhere we are aggregating this information. Now I want to interpret the same data. We have to create a pivot chart here.
Yeah.
So somewhere we can create this pivot chart and click on OK. Now, in case of pivot chart also, you can take consumer information is coming, corporate information is coming, and home office information is coming. Now, if I wanted to save, if I wanted to store this and say, I mean, share it with the end user, for us as a Excel expert, maybe it would be very easy to understand. But in case of a person who is unknown, he doesn't know what does this table means. He doesn't know what does this chart means. He only knows there would be some pictorial representation of information, and I want to make sure that information is understandable to me. Now you can see if I share this chart, now how do I share it? Maybe I'll save it, I'll upload it online, or else I'll share it externally. Now it is very difficult for end user. He has to open this sheet. He has to go back and search where this chart belongs to and where is this table coming from. I mean, what information this table is trying to convey and where is this information is coming from. Now that is the reason people try to neglect Excel. Yes, there is a probability. Excel is still powerful tool, but it is very difficult to understand where that information is coming from. Maybe for us as a developer who are good in Excel would understand the concepts. In order to overcome this situation, the same concept of Excel was used in Power BI. Power BI is nothing but the Power BI engine is nothing but an upgraded version of Excel only. What you see in Excel is almost similar in Power BI, but it is somewhere easy to understand. The UI is much easier, and the biggest advantage here is you get a flexibility to publish that. You get a flexibility to publish that. Now coming back, we have seen few points yesterday. Let me recollect that points. So we kind of started the points where we have to set our page, make sure the page height width is easily set so that we can take all the visuals. The color is important. It should be always light in shade. The color combination which we are using for the visuals, which we are using for our complete page or complete report, that should be light in shade and easily understandable or probably readable. Now I'll add one more point. If you add a color, maybe after color, I'll add this point. Formatting of visuals, color, size, wording format accepted. But after this, readability is important. Now, what do you mean by readability? We'll see that, and then we will understand what type of visual is used where. Now, this is the fifth point. Now, readability means if I go back, head over to the Power BI. Now, this is the chart which we have. If I compress this chart, see here, I'm losing the readability. Here I'm losing the readability. Whereas if I make it horizontally big, accepted, I'll get a scroller here, but it is easy to understand. Why? Because I'm able to read all the subcategories. I'm able to get what profits it is getting from each individual subcategory. Accepted, there is a scroller. Maybe in one view, we are not getting all these subcategory components, but still it is very easy to understand. But if I compress it, see, I'm trying to compress, even this is understandable, but the bars is a kind of almost similar. If I again compress it more, see somewhere I'm losing a readability. Why? Because this accessories, okay, if you have to hover on this, then only it will be easy to understand. I'm losing the readability. If I make it big, okay, even this is not understandable. Why? Because the graphs are not much aligned. It has to be somewhere clear. Now this is somewhere clear. Subcategories are clearly visible. Now, similarly for any specific graph, now for this graph also, if I try to compress it, see the 2017 is losing the data label, which we had, which we have kept on here. If I go back to the format option of that visual, the data label is kept on here, but still we are losing the readability. Why? Because 2017, that value is not visible. Now the reason is maybe because of a decimal. I'll remove that decimal. Let us see. Now it is able to read. Now, even if I make it more compress, 2017 value, somewhere it is lowest as compared to the other three. That is why that value is kind of going back. I mean, it is not visible or it is not displayed here. Now, readability is important factor, as I've said. The readability, if you're losing that readability, what we have to do is this display units. The I'll go back to the y-axis. I'll go back to values. See, I've kept display units to none. So what I'll do, I'll make it to 1000. This will utilize the more space. Accepted. In case of very small charts, it is always recommended not to have a data label. Accepted. It is easy to understand if you have a data label, the exact value for the specific year. But if you keep off the data labels, the chart will look more easy to understand. Now, what all possibilities can be done here? Now, this is purely a column chart. This is purely a column chart. What all possibilities can be done is, see, rather than doing formatting all the options here for a visual, let us try a different chart here. Let us try a different chart. Now, what I'll do, I'll take a copy of this, Control C, Control V. This is the copy. Now, in case of copy, what I will do, will go to some other chart. The chart which we were seeing is this chart, the stacked column chart. Now, we also have a clustered column chart. Let us see this option. I'm trying to click on this clustered column chart. Now, readability same here. Nothing much changed. Now, one change I'll make. Let us see how it will look alike. In case of year, I'll remove this order date. I'll take some other condition here. Um, Sales by region. I'll remove this order date. Sales by region. Let me see. I'm using a format painter. See, what I'm trying to do is these are four different color shades. I'll be using that four different color shades in the same sales by region. Now let me change the title also, easy to understand. Now this is sales by year. I'll also make it. See, I'm using a format painter. The shades are not changing. So somewhere I've highlighted that if you want to change the shades, it is always manually. You have to always manually use that. The format painter will not work in all the cases. In case format painter will also disturb your visual. If you use it formatting your other visual from the previously created visual, sometimes it might disturb your visual also. So it is always recommended go manually and change the shades which you want. If you want to copy the same shades, go back to the format, open the columns tab, go to 2016, more colors, copy the hex format which you want, go to the sales region, click on the sales region. You are in the west region. You want this west region to be of same format. Control V, paste it here. Now again, go to that same chart, copy the 2017 hex format. What you want in sales, east region you want, copy that. East region is automatically changed. Now this is a manual task. That is the reason I'm always saying that formatting of visuals should be done at the start itself. While you're working on any specific report, while you're working on any specific dashboard, start with formatting of your visuals from the point of visual creation itself. Do not wait for complete dashboard to complete. Once you get all your visuals for that report or dashboard, once that is done, it is very difficult to again go back for each and every visual and change the color format. If you do it from the very first instant, it is very easy. It will save your time, and your client also will give you a good feedback. Why? Because you are doing formatting of visuals, you are doing formatting of your page, and you are handing over that report to the client or the end user who is looking out at this visuals. Now I'm trying to see what is the use case of this clustered column chart. I've seen a use case of stacked column chart. Somewhere clustered column chart is also similar. So if I take clustered column chart, it is somewhere similar. Now, what exactly the use case is, we'll try to see that. Now, this is sales by each region. Apart from x-axis, apart from y-axis, there is also few more conditions here. The third condition is legend. Now, what do you mean by legend? See, what I want is for this sales by region, I want it by individual subcategory or individual category. I want sales by region by each individual category. Now what I'll do, we have a category option. I'll drag and drop this category option to the legend column or legend option. Now this is clustered column chart. I'll make it big. Whereas sales by region by individual category, this is, I'll make it stacked column chart. I'll get the category here. Now what legend is doing, it is partitioning the data. It is partitioning it to multiple blocks. We have three different categories. So for every region, the information is bifurcated or information is partitioned in three different categories. One is for furniture, one is for office supplies, and one is for technology. Now this is sales by region, a column chart, stacked column chart. Whereas I'm using sales by year by individual category. By individual category. Now, if I take this as a stacked column chart, even this is understandable, but it is very difficult to understand. In 2016 or in 2017, furniture had the highest sales. Which year has the highest sales? Whether is it 2016 or whether is it 2017? Now, if I hover on this, in 2017, it was 1,70,000. Whereas if I hover on the 2016, it is 1,57,000. But if the visual is somewhere compressed, it is very difficult to understand which year furniture had the highest sales. Okay, 2019 looks great, but in case of 16 and 17, it is somewhere similar. You have to always go back over on a particular condition to understand what was the sum of sales. Now, similar goes with um, technology. You can see technology is somewhere similar here. Now, if the chart is compressed, it is very difficult to understand. Now, even this is easily readable. I'm not saying it is not that great, but still it is easily readable if the chart is compressed this way. But it is very difficult to understand whether 2016 had the highest technology sales or 2017 had the highest technology sales. You have to hover on this. Now, in order to overcome such situations, the introduction of clustered column chart came into picture. Now, if you see here, it is very easy to understand. It is very easy to understand that in 2016, office supplies were somewhere below 2000 or 200K mark. Now you can set your y-axis also. If you're not satisfied, it is starting from whatever range you want. You can set it up to that range. You can set up to that range, and it is very easier to understand. Whereas in case of stacked column chart, we are getting the partitions in the same column itself. Okay, we have to hover on that. That is a different thing. But yes, partitions are in the same column. Now, that is the only difference. If you want to see partitions, it is very difficult to understand which partition from which region has the highest sales. Now, here it is easy to understand. Why? Because East region is somewhere smaller than West region. Central region is somewhere smaller than East region. But in case if the sales are almost similar, there is very slight change in decimal values. There is very slight change in sum of sales. In that case, it is very difficult to understand in the stacked column chart. So the use case of clustered is, if the stacked column chart is not answering your question, if the number of sales by each region, by each category is same, you have to choose the clustered column chart. Now the information is clustered. This complete set is 1 bar. This complete 2016 is 1 bar. This complete 2017 is 1 bar. Yes, there are partitions, but the information is a part and parcel of complete 2017. Now let us note that usability of charts. Now in case of stacked column chart, we have seen 3 conditions. That means 3 options we have figured it out. One is x-axis. In case of column chart, x-axis is always a categorical value. I'll keep it as x versus y versus legend. Now, in case of stacked column chart, I have taken numerical, that is x value as one categorical value versus I've taken y as numerical value versus in case of legend also I've taken one categorical value. This is best fit. Now, how is it best fit? We have seen an example here. This is our stacked column chart. X-axis region is a categorical or a string value. Y-axis sales is a numerical value. If I take any categorical value, let us remove sum of sales. I'll remove sum of sales. I'll take state here. See, if I'm taking state, it is still taking it as count of state. The value is not represented here. Why? Because it's a categorical value. Maybe it is not understandable. Power BI is not smart enough to understand here. Whereas if I take some other categorical value here, let me take city. Even city is unable to understand. But city is taken as count of city. This information is count of city. Now, if I take any random, if I take segment, see, it is taking it as count of segment. Unable to interpret that chart. Maybe sometimes you'll get a chart, but that would be count of segment. It is not valid. So in that case, y-axis should be always numerical rather than categorical. So if I take one category here, one categorical value in x-axis, one categorical value in y-axis versus the same one categorical value in legend, this is unfit or maybe not good fit. I'll keep it as not fit. Let us try some more features. I'll take profit here. Profit will work fine. Profit is somewhere lower than sales. That is the reason it is coming very low. If I would have taken sales, sales are greater. Sales, profit, quantity, row ID, postal code, these are all numerical values. Discount. Now, if I take postal code, let us take a postal code. Postal code is a numerical value, but it is not related to what we want in y-axis. Ideally, you should have got something here. Why? Because postal code is a numerical value. Now, how do you differentiate a numerical value and a categorical value or a date value is if you maximize a particular data set you will get options here. Now, wherever there isn't any specific symbol assigned to that column, that is purely a categorical or a string value. Category is a string value, city is a string value, country or region is a string value, customer ID. This should be a numerical, but if I go back to the data view, see customer ID, where is it? Customer ID is a combination of numeric as well as category. That is why it is purely a categorical value. String can take numeric as well as character data. Whereas if it all it's a numeric, it will only take numeric data. It will not take a category data or character data. Now I'll head over to the report view again. Postal code is of no use. If I take row ID, it is also of no use. But if I take profit, we are getting something. If I take discount, see, ideally we should have got something, but discounts are very much low. Now what I'll do, I'll change the y-axis here. I'll remove everything. I'll keep it to default. See, you will get the information here. Because of y-axis, we have set some range to y-axis. That is why we were unable to get it. Now, even if I take any categorical value, let me take segment here. Count of segment. This is count of segment. It is not trying to answer anything. No use case of this chart. Now, similarly, what I'll do, I'll keep sales here. Sales in y-axis. In case of x-axis, this is category. I'll take numeric value. Now, what I'll do, I'll take year. Rather than year, I'll take profit here. So it is trying to create a graph. It is trying to create a chart. For every profit component, for every unique profit value, it is trying to get sum of sales. See, I'm trying to scroll. The scroller is moving on. There is no use case of this chart. There is no use case of this chart. Any numeric value, if I take in x-axis, if I take quantity, number of quantities, how many quantities are there? For each quantity, it is trying to get sum of sales. And it is partitioning the category as a legend. Still, okay, easy to read, but what we are trying to convey, no use case. Let me take any other numerical. If I take postal code, for all the postal codes, what is the sum of sales it is trying to give? Somewhere it will give you some information for all the postal codes. 10024 for this postal code, the total sales is somewhere less than 80 lakhs, 8 lakhs, less than 80K. And the bifurcation is by each category. What we are trying to convey with the postal code, that is important. We cannot convey any numerical value in x-axis. The numerical value in case of column chart, the stacked column chart has to be always in y-axis. X-axis should be always a categorical value, string or category value. If I take product name, see, still this product name, it is very much complex to understand. Why? Because multiple products are there. But this is trying to convey some information. This is trying to convey some information that for each product, this product, what is this product? Canon image. This is a technology product, and the sum of sales is 61,599. Our chart is somewhere complex. Readability, we are losing the readability. Why? Because all the names are not understandable here. Now what we have to do, maybe we have to change the options here. In case of x-axis, how is it displayed? Text type, show title only. I'm trying to see, can I change the, what the only option is, we have to compress it probably. I'll make it small. 8 is the maximum or minimum size of that graph. So still, if I make it large, unable to understand. Even though I've taken the conditions which we want, this is categorical, this is numerical, and this is categorical, still we are unable to read. Readability of a chart is important. For this chart, maybe this is not the right fit. We have to go with some other chart. Let me take some other value, region. This is working fine. If I take segment, this is also working fine. If I take state, so even for state, readability is important, but still if I make it large, I can read all the states. If I make it this way, or maybe I'll compress it, I'm able to read it. I'm able to read it. You have a scroller accepted, but I'm able to read it. So the important factor for any column chart is, we have tried all the options. Now what I'll do, I'll mention numeric value in x-axis. I'll mention numeric value in y-axis. versus I'll mention one categorical value in legend. This is also not fit. The best fit, I've mentioned it at the first. If you have one categorical in x-axis, one numeric in y-axis, and one categorical in legend, that is the best fit. Now, one more option what I'll mention is, if you have one new categorical value in y-axis, you have one numerical value in x-axis, sorry, y-axis again. This is x-axis, this is y-axis, and in legend, assume that you have a numeric condition here. Rather than category, if I take numeric condition in legend, it will work. For this chart, state by sum of sales. In case of legend, what I'll do, I'll take profit. Let me make it big. What this chart is trying to convey, very difficult to understand. For only few states, we are getting bars. But if you see legend here, legend is by profit. For each profit number, there are multiple partitions. See, these many profits are there. For each partition number, there are multiple partitions. Now, it is very difficult to grasp, neither easy to understand, and what we are trying to convey also is very difficult to understand. So it is always recommended to have a category value, character value, a string value in legend. If you have a string value, it will solve your problem. This is solving. Segment is purely a categorical value. So even in case of numeric, in case of legend, this is not fit. So these are all probabilities. The same goes with clustered column chart. The same goes with clustered column chart. If you think, in case of clustered column chart also, now what I'll do, I'll mention one more important thing is, in case of x-axis, I am taking date. I'll use D for date versus one numeric here versus one categorical here. Even this is best fit. Even this is best fit. Now, why is it best fit? Date always acts like a categorical value rather than numeric. It might look numeric, but date is always a categorical value. In case of sales by region, I'll take date here. I'll take order date. I'll remove state column. Now, in case of date, it is by day and month bifurcation. If I change it to year, this is still readable, easily understandable also, and best fit. Why? Because for each year, I'm trying to get sales by each segment bifurcation. Even this is best fit. If you take one D, that is date condition in x-axis, this is best fit. Now, same goes with clustered column chart. Same goes with clustered column chart. Same conditions which we have seen, same would be available in clustered. Now, the only difference is in case of stacked column chart, within same column, partitions are there. Within same column, partition is there. Now, in case of clustered, the information is clustered into multiple charts. Info is clustered into multiple columns. I'll keep it as multiple columns. Information is clustered into multiple columns. Now it is understandable. Now, what do you mean by clustered and stacked? You have to make sure you get a good understanding. If you're not getting it, simply go here, type the difference. Stacked versus clustered. See, there are multiple blogs available here in order to get. If you go to this stacked chart or clustered chart, you'll get much more insights here. What do you mean by stacked? This is stacked. This is stacked, where this is clustered. This complete component is one column, but it is clustered in multiple conditions. Now, as I've said, if the readability or if the number of partitions are very difficult to understand, now here in this case, the corporate, which year has the highest corporate sales, whether it was 16, whether it was 17, I have to hover on this. Then only I'll get some information. See, if I go to 16, it is 1,28,000. Again, 2017, 1,28,757. This is 434. 2017 has highest. But if I change it to this clustered, somewhere it is easier to understand. Why? Because you can directly see here, easier to understand. Somewhere it is easier to understand. Maybe what I'll do, I will change the y-axis range. I'll keep it to auto. This is hampering. Now it is easier to understand. Now that is the only difference, stacked and clustered. If you are unable to read it here, change it to clustered. Clustered will answer that question. Now same goes with clustered. I'll copy the same conditions here. I'll paste it here. Now we
Sir,
have
what is the
seen,
meaning of clustered, sir?
see here in this case, this is sales by region. This is sum of sales by, is it region? Let me see. This is by category, and this is not sales by region, sales by segment. And this is sales by, let me take segment. I'll make sure the data labels are kept on. Now what I want is, in this first chart, I want to determine in which year corporate has the highest sales in case of 16 and 17. Only check 2016, 2017, focus on these 2 years. Which year corporate segment has the highest sales? Are you able to guess from this chart? Let me on the data labels here also. Now, if I compress it, see the data labels are of no use. The data labels are of no use here. If I compressing it, let me make it small. I'll keep off. For this also, I'll keep off the data labels. I'll make it of same size. Here the information is more clear in picture that in 2016, consumer has the highest sales. Corporate is somewhere similar, but if you see the chart, we can guess that corporate in 2016 or 2017 had the highest sales. Whereas in this one single column only, it is very difficult to understand. The use case of clustered is if the information is similar in both the filtered conditions, that means in both the 2016 and 17, this clustered column chart is trying to answer it more in detail rather than this charts. Both look somewhere similar, but if you focus on this, we can easily guess that home office had the lowest sales in 17 as compared to 16. Even if you see the blue chart, okay, it will look somewhere similar, but there is a slight change. Now you have to guess this. There is the value is very small. The difference is very small. It is 266,535, 266,096. That is why it is somewhere looking similar. But here, if you go, it is very difficult to understand. In case of clustered, the information is more easy to understand. Why? Because every clustered is formed. Every column is trying to convey some different information. Rather than in same column, different columns are created. Now this complete set is one cluster. This complete set is one cluster. We will see few more use cases, but for now, what is the use case of clustered column chart is, if the information is difficult to understand in the stacked column chart, that means partitions are in the same column. The information is stacked in the same column. You can go with the clustered. Easy to understand, easy to grasp. Clustered column, stacked column. Let me take bar chart. So in case of bar chart, that is stacked bar chart, same goes with the stacked bar chart. The only difference here is in case of bar chart, if I take this as an example, see this is bar chart. Let me make it big. This is bar chart. In case of bar chart, y-axis will come first and x-axis will come second. Why? Because bar chart is going from left to right. It is not going from top to bottom like a column. It is going from left to right. So in that case, what is x-axis? This is still an x-axis, but this is y-axis. In case of y-axis, we are taking categorical value. Now, y-axis will come first. If you want to convey it in the same condition, you can take x-axis here also. But in case of bar chart, always y-axis will come first, then it will take x-axis, then it will take legend. Now, this is bar chart. Now, if I take a legend here, segment, easily understandable. Now, let me take some other categorical value, maybe by category. Even this is easy to understand. By each category, how many number of subcategory products were sold. Now, if I take region, where is the region column? In case of legend, even this is understandable. Maybe for appliances, see if you see, central region has the loss. Profit is in minus, that is why it is coming it as loss. Here also for furnishing, central region has the negative profit, that means it is loss. That is why it is coming towards left. Here it is 0, it is going beyond 0. That means towards negative value. Now this is bar chart. The only difference you can see here is y-axis will come first. In case of y-axis, we will be getting all the categorical value, the string value. In case of x-axis, we are getting all the numerical value. So if I interchange the positions in case of x, I take any categorical value. If I take segment, this is count of segment. Why? Because x-axis should be always numeric in case of bar chart. If y-axis is categorical, one has to be a numeric. If it is trying to convey information, segment categorical value, but it is taking count of segment. If I take product name, count of product name it will take. If I take customer name, count of customer name it will take. But if I take profit, this is working fine. If I take discount, this is working fine. If I take sales, even this is working fine. So the best fit in case of bar chart is it should be y-axis should be always categorical 1C versus x-axis should be always numerical versus legend should be always categorical. It should not be a numerical concept. This is a best fit. Now, similarly, if you take one data value, that means one date value, one D, one N in again x-axis and one C in legend, even this is best fit. How is it possible? We are taking date condition in y-axis. Date is also a numeric, maybe it looks like a numeric, but it is also a categorical. It's always a categorical value only. Now, if I take a date here, in case of subcategory in y-axis, I'll take date. We have another date, we have shipment date. Let me take shipment date. See, it is trying to convey this some information. 2016, 17, 18, 19, we also have 2020. We're able to get this information. 1D is always supported. It always acts like a category only. The date value always acts like a category only. Now, if I take any other fit, if I am taking in y-axis, it's a numerical versus one numerical again in x-axis versus one category in legend, this is not fit. Irrespective of above two conditions, whatever conditions you take here, maybe I'll take category in y-axis, I'll take one more category in x-axis versus I'll take one more category in legend. This is also not fit. The only two fit conditions in case of bar chart is y-axis should be always category, x-axis should be always numeric, and legend should be always category. And same goes with the date condition. If y-axis is date, both one of them should be numerical and one of them, the legend, should be always category. This is the best fit. Now, same goes with the clustered bar chart. There is also an option called as clustered bar chart. Just like clustered column chart, we have a clustered bar chart. See, this is clustered bar chart. In this case, now here it will answer why to use clustered bar chart rather than using stacked bar chart. See, 2020, it is very difficult to understand. What are the sales? Even if I switch on the data labels, it is very difficult to understand which region I guess we're only able to see south or west here. Purple color able to see, but there is also south and central regions for 2020. Whereas if I change it to the clustered bar chart, see, it is trying to answer here itself. Data labels are purely visible, accepted the values are very small. If I go to focus mode, here we are able to get something. Or maybe if I go back, see, if I hover on this blue color, this is central region, this is south region, this is west region, and maybe on east region also. If you want only east, you can click on east. East region would be highlighted. But if it was a normal bar chart, very difficult to understand. The data labels are also not visible for 2020. Now, one important thing which we have learned is if it is not visible, you can click on a specific legend. Either you can click on this legend here, central, or else you can click on any of this legend. It will only highlight that information. For 2016, central you have selected. That is why it is highlighted here. But if I select the legend option, legend is this. If I remove this, region legend is automatically removed. But if I take region here and I'm clicking on the region option of central, all the year central options would be highlighted. Even if I click here, it is very difficult to understand for 2020 what is the central region sales. In that case, you have to go with clustered bar chart. See, it is highlighted 900. Easy to understand. Why? Because it's blue in color. Now I'll copy the same thing. I'll use it as clustered bar chart. Same conditions will remain. Best fit would be one category, one numeric and one category in case of Y, X and legend. Y will always come first in bar chart. So Y axis should be always category or always should be a date condition. X axis should be always a numeric condition. And legend should also be always a categorical value. You cannot take numeric in legend. Irrespective of whatever chart you're using, it is not recommended to take numeric in legend. It is always recommended to take a category, a string value in legend. Stacked bar chart, clustered bar chart, stacked column chart, and clustered column chart. We have seen which is best fit. We have seen which is not fit. Now, one important point which we have learned is interactivity, or if you click on any specific option, that option is highlighted here. That specific option is highlighted here. If you're clicking on a specific year, specific bar, that is, it is only highlighted for that specific bar. But if I want it for all the conditions, you can simply click on legend. For South region, you want, click on South. All the year South regions would be highlighted. Now let me see if it is able to done. Yeah, even in focus mode, it is, we can use that interactivity. Now earlier in focus mode, the only option we had is if you click on focus mode, the information was focused. You cannot do any interactivity. Maybe in last 1 year or 1.5 years, they have come up with this option. In focus mode also, you can click on any specific legend and the options are highlighted here. Prior to that, focus mode was only simple focus mode. Nothing was interactive in focus mode. You have to come back to a focus mode. Then only you have to click on any specific conditions to view the interactivity of a visual. Now, the biggest advantage of using Power BI, visuals are interactive. Readability and interactive. This plays an important role. If your visual is easily readable, it should be easily interactive. Why? Because somewhere readability is directly proportional to interactivity of a visual. If there is no readability, if I go back to this stacked bar chart, see 16, 17, 18, 19 readable, but 2020 not readable. If I make it interactive also, it is not readable. For all other years, it is easily readable. But for 2020, it is not readable. If one of the condition is not satisfying, the complete chart is of no use. Whereas if I make it to the clustered bar chart, here it is readable. Here it is readable. Even interactivity is working fine. So somewhere interactivity is directly proportional to readability. More the readable, more the interactive would be the chart. Now we have seen what visual should be used where. If you want to show it from left to right, go with bar chart. If you want to show it with from top to bottom, go with column chart. And we have seen conditions here, where to use stacked, where to use cluster. Stack will work only in case if the numbers are somewhere different and readability plays an important role. If you're unable to read it, go with cluster. So these 4 charts are done: clustered bar, stack bar chart, stacked column chart, clustered bar chart, and clustered column chart. Now the other 2 visuals are left in line number 1, which is 100% bar chart and 100% stack chart, stacked bar chart and stacked column chart. Now, where is the usefulness of these? See, the thing is, I want, what is this trying to convey? I want each year sales by percentage of, let me take some bifurcation. Let me take this on a new page. This is our new page. I'll paste this visual here. See why it is big. I mean, this visual here in page number 4 is very compact. I mean, small in size. The same copy I've taken, Control C, I've pasted in page number 5. Now, why is it large in, whereas in case of page 4, it is small in size. It is large in size in case of page 5. Why is it so? Because the best year to guess is page number 4 has the, if I go to page number 4, click on the white space, go to canvas setting, it is 1000 by 1500, whereas page number 5 is a 16 by 9, which is 720 by 1280. The page size is comparatively compressed. This is default size. That is the reason it is looking big in size. The chart is looking big in size. So make sure all your pages, if you're working on a report, all your pages should be of all same format. Height and width should be of same height and width, all the report pages. Now recommended is, as I've said, if I remove this, if I delete this page, delete, take a copy, use a duplicate copy, duplicate pages created, use it as page 5. Page 5. Whatever visuals you don't want, remove that. Now let's focus on this. See, I want each year, this is sales. In case of x-axis, values, title, this is sales. Let me make it more easily understandable. And in case of y-axis, the title is, have we taken subcategory here? No, we have taken shipment date. So title should be shipment date. Ship date. Now the requirement here is I want the total sales by each shipment year in terms of region by percentage. In terms of region by percentage. Now, if I take this directly to this 100% stack bar chart, so it is answering. It is answering our query. 2016, 21% of the sales was coming from central region. Now, if earlier it was this way, we have to manually go back and do it in calculator, how to get percentage related aspects. How much percentage of central had the sales for 2016? Now, here in percentage also, there is a slight difference. Now, what is that slight difference? Let us take an example first. First, understand that example, and then we'll switch to that 100% start. Now, who amongst you are all working professionals? Maybe you had a prior experience of working, you're currently working. How many of you are working professionals here? Or maybe you have worked for an organization previously. You have a career gap, accepted, but how many of you had an exposure to this working industry? Okay. Now, what do you mean by appraisal there? What do you mean by appraisal?
Performance evaluation, you can say that they evaluate your performance and the according to that they give a grade.
This is what people are, wait for in any organization. What is the spelling? APP. Now, if in case of appraisal, see, I'll give you some figures. Assume that there is a person called as ABC. This person, ABC, was a hardworking person. He has completed all his tasks. There isn't any escalation on him. Now, the thing is, this person was part of a team of 10 members. Now, in case of 10 members, how his evaluation is one. I'll explain it in another way. Let us take an example of KSR only. In case of KSR, there is an appraisal going on. Now, appraisal means for our lectures, maybe for our what we are teaching, there is an appraisal going on. Now, assume that I'm teaching. I'm an instructor here. I'm teaching a batch of 100 students. Out of 100 students, 50 students have understood what I've taught. 50 students have understood what I've taught. Whereas there are some other lecturers. Now this lecturer is trying to teach some 150 students. Out of 150, 65 students he has taught. Maybe what he has taught, his 65 students are able to understand. What he's teaching, 65 students are able to understand. Now assume that there is one more lecturer who is teaching a batch of 120 students. Out of 120, 70 students, or probably I'll keep it as 55 students. 55 students are able to understand what he's trying to teach. Now the appraisal, now this is simply an example. In case of appraisal, what a person in, I mean, how this evaluation is done. If I take my evaluation out of 100, 50 divided by 100, that means 50% of the students able to understand what I'm teaching. But if I take a combination of this, 50 divided by, what is the plus summation of this? 100, 250, 350 and 370. I'm taking a summation here. 50, 370. Now, if I take a percentage, what is the percentage here? 50 divided by 370 divided by 370 into 100, 13.51. Now, how many of you think both are correct, or how many of you think one of them is correct?
Only one is correct.
Okay. Why? Why only one, or why not two? Or maybe why?
Because I think only the 50% is correct because you didn't teach the other students, right? So how would you be responsible for that?
So I'm not saying that there is a responsibility. Now, the thing is, simply understood, this is my individual performance. This is my individual performance. Whereas if I take second condition, this is overall institute level performance. This is overall institute level performance. That means in complete institute, 13.51% of students have understood what I've thought. This is for complete overall, whereas this is for individual performance. So I'm not saying that out of all 370 students, if there is an addition, the KSR team is reaching out and they're trying to check out of all the students, how many percent of students I was able to teach them, I was able to explain them, or they were able to grasp what I've thought. Only 13.51. This is overall performance. This is also a valid condition, and this is individual performance. Now, in case of Power BI also, if I take stacked bar chart, this is individual performance. That means for every region in 2016, what is their individual percentage of performance? Central region for 2016 had 21.88, 2017 had 21.53. Now, if I want it to be overall level, that means overall, what is the total percentage of central region sales for all the years? This is individual performance for 2016, for 2017, 18, 19, and 2020. Whereas if I want overall performance, that means central region overall percentage for all the years. The only change I have to do is I have to take a pie chart here. See, central region is clubbed together. Overall central region is clubbed together. Individually, there are bifurcations by 2016, by 2017, by each region, but this is overall performance. Now, what I'll do, I'll take region bifurcation is there, sum of sales is there, shipment year is there. Let us compare these two. Let me take a new page. I'll keep it to 100% bar chart. I'll copy this. I'll paste it here. See, this is overall performance. And this is individual level performance. For every year, the bifurcation is there. Here also for every year, bifurcation is there, but all together is clubbed. For all together, it is clubbed here. For all together, it is clubbed here. For all together, it is clubbed here. That means all regions are clubbed here. This is individual performance. This is overall performance. Now, where to use this chart, pie chart, and where to use 100% stacked bar chart or 100% stacked column chart. Both are same. If I take stacked column chart, only changing to 100% stacked column chart, it will go from up to down. Whereas if I take it to bar chart, it's going from left to right. That is the only change. In case of individual performance, always go with a stacked bar chart or stacked column chart. But if you want to work on overall performance, go with pie chart. And usefulness of pie chart, usefulness of stacked bar chart or stacked column chart, which is 100%, that means it is used for percentage. Why 100% is mentioned? They haven't mentioned anything here. But if 100% is mentioned, that means percentage is always calculated by 100. There is a possibility that you will get a confusion. What do you mean by stacked bar chart and what do you mean by stacked bar chart? Again, that is the reason if you want the information to be in percentage, that is why they have mentioned 100% stacked bar chart, 100% stacked column chart. If you want the information to be in percentage values rather than normal numerical values, you have to go with this. If you want overall performance, either go with donut chart, either go with pie chart. Now, pie chart is somewhere you'll get a hole here. There is a white space. In case of donut chart, there isn't any white space. Whereas in case of this is individual level performance. Now we'll reach out to donut chart, we'll reach out to pie chart for some other insights. But for now, what is this? Individual level performance is evaluated with the help of bar chart, 100% bar chart and 100% column chart. Now this is stacked. In case of cluster, you will not get 100%. Why? Because the information is clustered here. Every cluster is different. Even though this is one set, this complete 16 is one set, it is very difficult to give percentage information here. That is the reason individual percentage information. If at all you want individual performance, it should be in one column itself. That is why they have taken stacked chart. That is why they are taking stacked chart. Yeah, any question on this 100% stack chart? That means 100% stack or bar column chart, both of them. This is used for individual level performance or individual level bifurcation. Okay, so silence, I'm taking that everyone have, see, if you are attending this session where for the very first time, somewhere you will get a difficulty to understand. Now, that is how a Power BI works. It is not only drag and drop. Where to use what visual plays an important role. Now, as I've said, I've mentioned every information here. I would be documenting it also. Now, how is it documented? Say, I'll show you an example. I'll share the documentation also. Go to this. Let me open this. See, I've documented everything. Now this is, now I'll not share the same pic. We would be documenting the same way, which we have noted it in Notepad. Now this is for our understanding, basic understanding. That is why I've started with Notepad. I would be moving to Excel. For which chart, which conditions are the best fit. Now, these are all the information I've documented. For all the charts, see, we have covered each and every individual chart here. Now, this was for previous batch. Yes, we would be documenting same here also. So first, understand where to use what. Yes, once you get that, you can document it. I'll share this document on weekly basis, maybe on every Fridays when we have a last weekly lecture, I'll share it. The same file I would be sharing with the recordings for your understanding. So today we kind of completed the first line. We might have seen pie chart and donut chart, but we are yet to reach the insights of these two charts. We have only seen what is the difference between these 100% stack bar chart and a normal pie or donut chart. This is for overall performance. This is for individual level performance. So the first row is done. Now you'll think that within one day, I would have completed all these four, all these six. No, all these six are interdependent charts. there is a dependency. That is why it only took 1 day or maybe 1.5 days to complete all these 6 charts. For all other charts, it will take some more time because they are, I mean, there isn't any dependency between any of these charts below. Every chart is individual. Even though pie and donut chart might look same, but there is a slight difference between these two also. So every chart is interdependent. There is no dependency. I mean, every chart is independent. There is no dependency. Whereas the first line, all 6 charts are somewhere there is a dependency. The information is somewhere similar. Yeah, let's take a pause. We'll connect back tomorrow with some other charts. If you have any questions, free to ask.
Yeah,
Please share the sales data set. I'll share the data set. Yeah, go ahead. I guess someone had a question.
yeah, Ritesh. Yeah. So Ritesh, in the Microsoft Fabric, like we have different segments, right? So ADF, Power BI, and so now we are covering Power BI in depth, right?
Yes. See, Power BI in Fabric is only, if I take here, now this is our Power BI. What you publish, if you want to publish this report, you have to publish it to Power BI service. The Fabric, the Power BI in Fabric is nothing but your Power BI service. That's it.
Okay.
You
Just
cannot
like
do anything.
just like a service in Azure or AWS, we are using on service like that. In the Fabric.
Earlier what powerbi.com was, it was purely a service. What you want to publish, it was published here. Now within that Power BI, I mean the app within that powerbi.com, the service portal itself, they have integrated all these tools.
Okay.
So
there is
if
no
you want
separate URL like fabric.com. Only in the app powerbi.com
yes.
itself they included.
Yeah. If you enter that powerbi.com, see, I've entered the same thing. If I
Yep.
enter powerbi.com, it is directly navigating to Fabric.
Yeah. So
if there is anything, go ahead.
We should learn Power BI in-depth Power BI. At the same time, we will learn, like, if you want, we will learn ADF in-depth like that, right? So
Yes.
we
So
should
I
learn it
would be
individually.
covering, I would be covering Power BI first.
Okay.
Then I would be teaching you individual ADF, individual services, and then you can reach out to this Fabric. So I'll help you out. What you practice in the Azure portal, the same can be practiced here. Start with Azure portal first. Once that is done, you'll get some more 60 days here, free trial. There you can extend your Fabric. Then you can practice on Fabric. If you directly reach out to Fabric, see, one thing I'll say, I am working for a Microsoft. This Fabric product, there are many drawbacks. When this was introduced in last year, around March 2023, from March to around October, this Fabric was not even used by Microsoft folks. Why? Because it is very difficult. There are multiple drawbacks. But since last 2 or 3 months, they have upgraded it so fast that many of the drawbacks they have overcome. There are still drawbacks, but they're trying to make sure the changes are done. It will take some time. Maybe it will take a year or maybe some 2 or 3 years to get this product completely released in a perfect manner. For now, no company is asking you to learn Fabric on the day one. They are asking you to switch to Fabric, but it will take some time. And to be frank, if I wanted to give it in more insights, see, what I'll mention is Fabric, the information what you store in Fabric is stored in SKUs. You might have heard it from my sessions only. SKUs is nothing but a stock keeping unit. So in case of this, in case if you want a Fabric account, you'll get a 60 days trial. After 60 days, it is purely a paid condition. After 60 days, there are how many sizes of SKUs are there? SKU starts from F2. This is one size. It goes to F4. It goes to F8. They double the size. It goes to F16. It goes to F32. Now this is how sizes are kept. For F2, you have to spend around, if you want to spend it monthly, you have to spend around 20K for F2. For F4, you have to spend around 30 or 32K per month, even if you use, even if you don't use. For F8, it is around 45 or 50K, probably around 50K. For F16, it is around 70K. So this is the spending for Fabric. If all the components in Fabric are working fine, yes, an organization can spend up to this. If one of the any component in Fabric is not working fine, why to spend so much amount? They will not give you a discount. If one of their services is not working properly, they'll try to resolve it. They'll not give you a discount. Now, resolving means it will take 1 or 2 days. It is waste of waste of your time. This product is still in preview mode. Accepted. There are much changes being done in last 3 months. The product has improved a lot, but it will take some time to grasp the market presence. So if you go with individual tools, assume that you are only working on ADF. You're only working on few other services like storage account. Now, in case of individual costing, ADF, what you use in ADF, maximum you can use it for 1,000. For our purpose, maximum spending would be 1,000, whereas storage account will accommodate around 300 rupees. Now, this is for complete 1 month. This is 1,300 for a month. Do you want to spend 1,300 or do you want to spend this 20K? Even if you don't use, you have to take minimum F2. That is the difference.
Yeah. My person is like we should learn ADF in depth because it's just the integration of all this, just like a portal, right? Fabric.
Yes.
So we should have a strong knowledge on ADF and because I am working on warehousing. So if I want to migrate this on-premises to this cloud, like I should know the Synopsys warehouse or anyway, I know I should know ADF to create the same SSIS to pipelines, that kind.
Yep.
So what about the cube? Like for cube level, what I need to learn? Because in the Power BI also there is a semantic model, something they are talking in my office. So we can do it in the Power BI semantic and combination. So
the semantic model means when you deploy a Power BI report, I'll go to workspace. I'll open a workspace. See, if you're deploying this report, there is a model for it. Earlier, it was called as a normal Power BI model. It is now a semantic model. There are few upgrades. If I click on this option, you are getting few options here. Either you can create a pipeline directly. Why? Because the information is already cleared. There is a model also created here. You can directly dump this data to cloud. There is a possibility you can directly dump semantic model data. But most of the cases, they'll go with individual on-premise systems to cloud using Synapse or using ADF. Now, what do you mean by Synapse? Synapse is a combination of ADF and Databricks.
So are we going to cover this part?
Yes,
No.
yes. ADF would be in detail.
Okay.
Databricks, whatever is required from the data analyst point of perspective. See, if I teach in depth of Databricks, it is more a kind of data engineering.
Okay.
But I'll only teach what a data analyst will require, how to write a notebook. That is what a data analyst will require.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Thanks, Ritesh.
Yep. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, Ritesh, what do you mean by F16F? What do you mean F?
Okay, so do not ask me what do you mean by F. This is kind of license. Maybe they have given some reason to it, but I have explained you F means something license they are giving. I'm not sure what do you mean by F in detail, maybe in long form, I'm not sure. But F2 means minimum license. F4, the second license which is available. I guess it is now F64. F128 is not available. Maximum is F64. Now, what do you mean by F? I'm not sure. Even I cannot guess. Maybe I'm working with Microsoft, but I'm not sure what is this F.
Automation. Okay, and please show me once again that Excel that showed regarding the documented. Okay.
This is all which we document. We will document for the same team,
Yes.
the same batch.
Okay.
Even I document all the DAX functions, whichever I've thought.
Okay. So only these function is sufficient for DEX. Like I think 78, right?
No, there are 78 if you think, but there are multiple functions which have clubbed. See, text functions have all clubbed as 10 functions in one single entity only. Log and mathematical functions 20 I've
Yes,
clubbed.
yes, yes,
I
yes,
would be covering
yes.
around 120 to 130, which is more than enough.
Mhm.
There are functions. Have you seen a DAX function? There is a DAX function like network days. Have you ever used it?
Regarding dates in Excel, I think
No. If you want to calculate your team's working days, that means network days. How does this DAX function work? It will ask you which week. That means week column is coming from which table. It will ask you what is the start date. That means week starts from Monday or Sunday. It will ask you when will week end. No, it will only ask start date. That means if it starts from Monday, Sunday, it will end at Saturday. And it will ask you how many weekends you have, how many days of holidays you have. You have 2 days, you have 3 days, you have 4 days. How many holidays you have in a week? So it will calculate how many days you have worked in that specific week. This is a DAX function. Not sure why they have introduced, but this is asked in every interview since last 6 months, and no organization is using this DAX. It is asked in interviews, but no organization is used in. No organization is using this DAX. Why? Because for this DAX, your data should be somewhere present in weekly basis. No organization expects the information in weekly basis. Either it is monthly or yearly basis. That is one drawback. There are many DAX functions which are introduced, which is of no use. Functions which are used on frequent basis, I would be covering all that.
so Ritesh, whenever in Excel we add any formula, just whenever we add write equal, it shows the formula. So in DAX also it shows some like that, or we
No,
have to cram all the formula?
Excel formulas will work like an M query function. If I go to transform data, here Excel formula will work. See, equal to, if I make it big, this is what equal to look alike, equal to whatever formulas. Excel is designed for M query language. Power BI is a combination of DAX as well as M query. Both are clubbed. That is why Power BI is advanced. Now here you can find all the formulas. If you mention anything, see, just you will get a suggestion. If you want to create a DAX function, you'll get a suggestion. Suggestion means what column or what table is present and what all columns are present there. If I click on measure, I'm trying to create a DAX function here. You have to write what is the function name. After equal to, you can mention whatever function you want. You want some, see, it is giving you suggestions. These suggestions you'll get.
Right.
This is you'll get. This you'll get. Yeah. Any question again? So today it seems it's the 4th session. Tomorrow we will have one more free session. So once that is done, maybe our team will reach out to you. If you are satisfied with what I'm teaching, you can directly reach out to our team. They'll help you out. As I've already highlighted, the course fees is of 30K, which is a combination of all 3 different technical aspects like SQL, Power BI, and Azure. Now, in case of Azure, as I've said, ADF would be detailed. Azure, other Azure services which are used frequently, that means a storage account, that means many data lakes are used. There are key vaults. There are use case of service principles that I would be teaching. Apart from this, Synapse, Databricks, and Logic Apps, that also would be covered. Now, this is more a point of data analyst perspective. You cannot expect anything depth coding here. This is more specifically used by data engineering folks. PySpark, the Python concepts will come into picture. Yes, we would be learning slight insights there. Now, slight insights of PySpark, how a PySpark code is written. Only one-liner code is required to understand how do I write a notebook. How do I write a notebook in Databricks? How do I write a notebook in Synapse? Synapse is a combination of this plus this. You can create a pipeline, you can write a notebook. Both can be done in Synapse. Now we have covered SQL. You would be given an option to go through recordings. You would be given an option to attend any other SQL session which is going parallelly, maybe now, maybe after 1 month. If you're not satisfied with both, you would be added to the next batch when we would be starting with SQL. Now I would be the same instructor there. This approximately this batch, that means with Azure, it will end by second week of April. We are in third week of January, or maybe the last week of January. By second week of April, this complete Power BI and Azure would be completed. Maximum of second week. Can be prior to that also, but I'm taking it as maximum if there are any holidays in between. So this week we would have only 4 sessions. Friday is a holiday, official holiday, 26th January. Let's connect back tomorrow. Thank you and have a very good day.